South Pacific, in Korea 3 times, Vietnam 1 time. Now, I guess you say, how can I do all of that? But I'm 92 years old. And, I must tell you a little bit of a joke about that, about my being 92. I should have Alzheimer's. And I probably do, but I probably do, but I wasn't even sure if I had it or not. So I went to a doctor. And he said, P.T. Taylor, he's a very good friend of mine, so he can be honest with me. He said, P.T. Taylor, let me tell you, when you wake up in the morning in the bed and look over and look at your wife and you say, who the hell are you? And boy, you got all that. Okay. How did I get into the service in the Navy back in 1943? I was in my living room listening to the radio. No TV that time to speak of. And an announcement came over that Pearl Harbor had been attacked. So I asked my dad, Pearl Harbor, what the hell is Pearl Harbor? What is that? And he told me. I knew then, I can't tell you why or how I felt about it, but I knew then that I had to get involved in the war. But I was only 17 years of age at that time, so I knew my mother was not going to sign for me to go to the service. And that's what she had to do back in those days, if you wasn't 17. So I waited until I got 18, so I volunteered for the Navy. One of my friends asked me, why did you volunteer for the Navy? If you go into the Navy, you know what you're going to be doing? You're going to be washing clothes and cooking, dressing the white officers, which was true at that time. Prior to that time, the only things that a black man, Puerto Rican, or Mexican, or whatever, could do was what I just mentioned. He could not be a seaman, he could not be a fireman, he could not be anything. So they were trying to now do an experiment to correct that. And that experiment was to train blacks and other folk other than white in other ranks. You could either be a bosun mate, a gunner's mate, a coalman, a motorman, a signalman, quartermaster. You could be any of those things because they had established a school in Great Lakes, Illinois, right outside of Chicago, to train you in those ranks. So I was selected for that. And the only reason I was at that time was because I had a high school diploma. Big thing back in those days, having a high school diploma. So I went to Great Lakes. I became a third-class signalman after I finished the course because my grades were high. I finished at the top 10% of my class. So I was a big-time, petted off the third-class signalman. But I want to tell you this, that the reason I scored very highly in that class is because I was a Eagle Boy Scout. And the Boy Scouts, signaling, that's all we did all the time. So I could have taught the class, but I didn't. All right. Now, that's how I got into the Navy. Army, ROTC at Tuskegee University, where I became affiliated with the Tuskegee Airmen. Now, I'm not a big-time Tuskegee Airmen flyer. I'm just a little member. I was responsible for establishing the Howard Ball class here in Petersburg. How did that get started? Before Howard Baugh died, I had a long talk with him, and I told him that, hey, we need to honor you and establish a chapter of Tuskegee Airmen of you here in this city. And he said, no, Pete, don't do that. See, Howard Baugh was very modest. Or immodest, which one it would be? One of those words. In other words, he didn't want a whole lot of mess to be talked about him and so forth. He did a great job, and that was it. But anyway, the chapter got started. Army, military. Went into service, 1951. First duty station was Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And how I got there was that they were having an experiment, and I might add that anything that they wanted to be proved or not proven back in those days, segregation days, there had to be an experiment. So the experiment in Fort Jackson was that can blacks be made second lieutenants and be able to command soldiers. I was one of those 21 black soldiers that were sent there. I finished the course. I was a platoon leader, an executive officer, I was company commander, I was all of these things. Based on that, I was sent to Korea for my first tour, and I had 2 other tours later on. And I'm not going to share the blood and guts with you about what happened in the war. War is hell, no question about it. You are trained to kill. You are trained to kill every day. There's no doubt about it. You kill or you be killed by the enemy. And he's out there trying to kill you. And this is why we have this, what is PTSD or whatever it is.
Yes.
Because soldiers, they never forget that. They come home. And it's easy, or rather hard, when you kill your first enemy. But when you kill the next one, third one, the fourth one, and fifth one, it becomes part of your psyche. Become part of it. You can't shake that when you come home, when you get discharged. You may want to continue to do that. Say, hey, no big thing. I go out here and knock John off or whatever. No big thing. So we got to work on that. Very different. So, okay, I'm gonna wrap it up now.
You're doing a great job, sir. Thank you.
My greatest experience, I believe in the military, the most satisfying was when I was a commander. This is in Korea. I was commander of the 1st Special Troops Command at I Corps. I actually had 23,000 soldiers under my command. That's a lot of responsibility. I really appreciate that and enjoyed that. Now, if you got any questions, you can ask them down, please. That's all I got.
Tell you what, let's ask him, and we'll get go ahead with one more panelist. Feel free, please clap.
Yeah.
Let's hold these questions till we have a chance to hear from Tony Banks. Tony, if you would go ahead and share your story.
First of all, good morning, everyone.